A story of betrayal, ancient prophecy, and a love powerful enough to defy kingdoms. Lucy's blood painted the forest floor in dark, glistening drops. Each step forward was a negotiation with death. Her legs trembled, threatening to buckle beneath the weight of her swollen belly, 8 months pregnant and carrying twins she might never get to hold. The rogues were close. She could smell their rancid breath on the wind, hear their claws tearing through underbrush somewhere behind her in the darkness. "Run," her wolf whispered weakly. "Run, or they'll take them from us." But there was nowhere left to run. 3 days ago, Lucy had been dragged before her pack, the Silverpine wolves who'd raised her, loved her, called her sister, and condemned as a traitor. Her mate, Ethan, the man who'd sworn under the full moon to protect her forever, had stood at the front of the jeering crowd with ice in his blue eyes and spoke the words that shattered her world. "I, Ethan Carver of the Silverpine Pack, reject you, Lucy Thorne, as my mate and my Luna." The bond had snapped like a bone breaking. She'd collapsed, screaming, clutching her belly as her twins kicked frantically inside her. No one had helped her up. Not even her former best friend, Kara, who'd looked away with something almost like satisfaction curling her lips. They'd accused Lucy of sleeping with a rival pack's beta, of carrying his children, of conspiring to destroy Silverpine from within. All lies. But the evidence, planted, fabricated, poisonous, had been damning. A torn piece of her dress found in enemy territory. Messages she'd never sent. Witnesses who swore they'd seen her sneaking away in the dead of night. Ethan had believed them all. Or perhaps he'd simply wanted an excuse to be rid of her. She'd never know. The pack had given her 1 hour to leave before they'd kill her and the abominations she carried. She'd stumbled into the rogue lands with nothing but the clothes on her back and the 2 heartbeats echoing beneath her ribs. Now, 72 hours later, she was dying. A root caught her foot and Lucy went down hard, her palm scraping across jagged stones. Pain exploded through her abdomen, sharp, visceral, terrifying. She gasped, curling around her belly protectively as warm liquid soaked through her pants. "No, no, please, not yet. There." A voice snarled from the darkness. Male. Vicious. "I smell her blood." Shadows emerged from between the trees, 3 rogue wolves, their eyes glowing amber in the moonlight, their forms half-shifted into grotesque combinations of man and beast. Rogues who'd been exiled from their own packs, who'd lost their humanity along with their bonds, who survived by hunting the weak. And right now, Lucy was the weakest prey in the forest. The largest one, a brute with matted fur and scars crisscrossing his bare chest, grinned, revealing teeth filed to points. Pregnant she-wolf, all alone. "Looks like dinner came to us, boys." Lucy tried to stand, but her body wouldn't obey. The world tilted sideways, darkness creeping in at the edges of her vision. Her twins kicked again, frantic as if they could sense the danger closing in. "I'm sorry," she thought, tears streaming down her dirt-streaked face. I tried so hard to save you." The rogues advanced. Then the world exploded. One moment, the 3 rogues were lunging toward her with claws extended. The next, a massive shape, black as midnight, larger than any wolf Lucy had ever seen, crashed into them like a hurricane made flesh. The largest rogue's scream cut off abruptly as enormous jaws closed around his throat. There was a sickening crack, and his body hit the ground, lifeless. The other 2 rogues barely had time to react before the black wolf was on them. It moved with a predator's grace and a king's fury, each strike precise and devastating. Within seconds, both rogues lay dead, their blood steaming in the cold night air. Lucy should have been terrified. She should have run. But as the massive black wolf turned toward her, golden eyes blazing with an intensity that stole her breath, every instinct in her body went utterly still. Mine. The thought wasn't hers. It came from somewhere deep, somewhere ancient, somewhere that recognized this creature before her conscious mind could catch up. The wolf approached slowly, his head lowered, his movements careful despite his size. When he was close enough that Lucy could feel the heat radiating from his fur, he shifted. The transformation was fluid, beautiful, bones and muscle rearranging until a man knelt before her in the moonlight. Lucy's heart stopped. He was unlike anyone she'd ever seen. Tall, powerfully built, with black hair that fell past his shoulders and a face carved from marble and shadow. Scars marked his chest and arms, the kind earned through countless battles. But it was his eyes that held her captive. Golden, ancient, and filled with something that looked almost like wonder. "You're hurt," he said, his voice a low rumble that vibrated through her bones. He reached toward her belly with surprising gentleness. "May I?" Lucy should have said no. Should have scrambled away from this stranger who'd just killed 3 rogues without breaking a sweat. But when his hand hovered over her swollen abdomen, waiting for permission, she found herself nodding. The moment his palm made contact, warmth flooded through her. Soothing, healing, driving back the pain and the cold. Her twins, who'd been kicking frantically moments before, suddenly calmed. The man's eyes widened. His hand pressed more firmly against her belly, moving slowly, as if searching for something. Then he went absolutely still. 3, he whispered, his voice cracking with emotion Lucy couldn't name. "You're carrying 3. Lucy's blood turned to ice. "What?" "No," the healer said, "twins. I'm having twins." But even as she said it, she felt it. A third heartbeat, faint but unmistakable, hidden somehow beneath the stronger rhythms of her daughters. How had she missed it? How had everyone missed it? The man looked up at her, and Lucy saw tears glistening in those impossible golden eyes. 3 treasures, he breathed. After all these years, 3. Before Lucy could ask what he meant, what any of this meant, her vision blurred. The blood loss, the exhaustion, the shock, it all crashed down on her at once. She felt herself falling forward, felt strong arms catch her before she hit the ground. "I've got you," the stranger murmured against her hair, lifting her as if she weighed nothing. "I've got all of you. You're safe now." Safe. The word was almost funny. She hadn't been safe since the moment Ethan rejected her. But as consciousness slipped away, cradled against this mysterious man's chest with a scent, pine and smoke, and something wild surrounding her, Lucy felt her wolf purr for the first time in days. "Mate," her wolf whispered. "Our true mate." And Lucy, falling into darkness with 3 tiny lives nestled safely inside her, wondered if fate was giving her a second chance. Or setting her up for an even more devastating fall. Hey there, beautiful souls. Welcome back to the channel. I can already feel the energy of this story, and I need to know, where are you watching from right now? Drop your city or country in the comments below. And listen, if you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? This is going to be a wild, emotional ride, and you're going to want to be here for every twist and turn. Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss what happens next to Lucy and her mysterious Alpha King. Trust me, you're not ready for what's coming. Now, are you comfortable? Do you have your tea, your snacks, your tissues? Because once we dive deeper into Lucy's story, there's no turning back. Lucy woke to silk. Not the rough cotton of her old Pax infirmary, not the cold, unforgiving ground of the forest, but smooth, luxurious silk that whispered against her skin like a lover's touch. For a moment, she thought she was dreaming. Or dead. Then her twins kicked, strong and insistent, and reality came flooding back. The rogues. The mysterious black wolf. The man with golden eyes who'd said 3. Lucy's hand flew to her belly, pressing firmly, searching. There. 2 strong heartbeats where there had always been 2. But now, beneath them, hidden like a secret whispered in shadows, a third rhythm, faint but undeniable. You feel it now, don't you? Lucy's head snapped toward the voice. The man from the forest stood near a massive window, backlit by dawn's first light. He'd changed into dark pants and a loose white shirt that did nothing to hide the muscled expanse of his chest. His black hair was tied back now, revealing the sharp angles of his face, high cheekbones, a strong jaw, and those eyes. Those impossible, golden eyes that seemed to see straight through her. "Who are you?" Lucy's voice came out hoarse, defensive. She pulled the silk covers higher, suddenly aware that someone had changed her clothes. She now wore a soft nightgown that accommodated her swollen belly. "Where am I?" "You're in Shadowmere," he said simply, moving toward her with that same careful grace he'd shown in the forest. Like he was approaching something precious and breakable. "The seat of the Northern Kingdom. And he paused at the foot of the bed, something vulnerable flashing across his features. "I am Jareth, Alpha King of the Northern Pax." Lucy's heart stuttered. The Alpha King? The one from the legends her mother used to tell her, the ruler who disappeared into his fortress years ago after some tragedy no one spoke of? The wolf so powerful that even mentioning his name made seasoned warriors lower their voices? "That's impossible," Lucy whispered. "The Alpha King doesn't. He hasn't been seen in 6 years," Jareth finished, his jaw tightening. 6 years, 3 months, and 14 days since I've left these walls. Since I've allowed anyone beyond my most trusted guards to see my face." He moved closer, and Lucy caught his scent again, that intoxicating mixture of pine and smoke that made her wolf whimper with longing. "Until 3 nights ago, when I felt something call to me. A pull so strong I couldn't ignore it, even though I'd sworn never to leave this place again." "Why?" Lucy found herself asking, even though she should be demanding he take her back to where? She had no pack, no home, no one who wanted her. Pain flickered in Jareth's eyes, ancient and deep. "Because the last time I loved someone, the last time I failed to protect what was mine, she died screaming my name. And I wasn't strong enough to save her." The raw honesty in his words stole Lucy's breath. This wasn't the cold, distant king from the stories. This was a man haunted by ghosts, wearing his grief like armor. "I'm sorry," Lucy said softly, and meant it. Jareth shook his head. "Don't be. That tragedy led me to you. To them." His gaze dropped to her belly, and his entire expression transformed. Wonder. Reverence. Something that looked almost like worship. "May I?" Lucy should have said no. She didn't know this man, didn't understand why his presence made her feel safe when she'd been betrayed by the last person who'd promised protection. But her wolf was practically clawing to get closer to him, and the babies had calmed the moment he'd entered the room. She nodded. Jareth knelt beside the bed, bringing himself to eye level with her. Slowly, giving her every chance to refuse, he placed both palms on her swollen abdomen. The warmth returned immediately, that soothing heat that seemed to flow from his hands directly into her womb. "2 girls," he murmured, his voice thick with emotion. Strong, fierce, already fighting for dominance even in here. His hands moved lower, and his breath caught. "And 1 boy. Smaller than his sisters, hidden in their shadow. But his heartbeat, God's Lucy, his heartbeat is ancient." "How do you know all this?" Lucy demanded, even as tears pricked her eyes. "A son. She was having a son too. How can you possibly?" "Because they're mine." The words hung in the air between them, impossible and terrifying and somehow right. "That's insane," Lucy breathed, but her wolf was singing, confirming what her mind refused to accept. "I've never met you before. These babies are," she couldn't finish. Couldn't say Ethan's name without wanting to scream. "These babies carry my scent," Jareth said firmly, his eyes burning into hers. "Ancient magic, Lucy. Blood magic from before the packs divided, when the first wolves walked with the moon goddess herself. Somehow, impossibly, these children are bound to me. To us." He leaned closer, and Lucy's breath hitched. "Tell me you don't feel it. Tell me your wolf isn't screaming that I'm your true mate, and I'll walk away right now." Lucy opened her mouth to lie, to protect herself from another devastating rejection. But she couldn't. "I feel it," she admitted, tears spilling down her cheeks. "But I don't understand. I was mated to Ethan. We completed the bond during the full moon ceremony. How can you be? False bond, Jareth growled, his hands tightening protectively over her belly. Forced or fabricated somehow. True mate bonds can't be rejected, Lucy. They can be denied, suppressed, hidden, but never truly severed. His thumb brushed her cheek, wiping away her tears with devastating gentleness. Whatever that bastard did to you, whatever he made you believe, it wasn't real. The door burst open before Lucy could respond. A woman strode in, tall, elegant, with silver blonde hair and ice blue eyes that assessed Lucy with sharp intelligence. She wore leather armor that marked her as a warrior, and she moved with the confidence of someone who'd earned her place at the Alpha King's side. "My king," she said, bowing slightly. "The council is demanding an audience. They've heard rumors about the girl." "Let them demand," Jareth said without looking away from Lucy. "I'm not leaving her." "Jareth." The woman's voice softened. "You know they won't stop until they see her. Until they verify the truth of your claim." She finally looked at Lucy, and something like sympathy flickered across her features. "I'm Zara, captain of the King's Guard and apparently the only person in this fortress with any common sense." Despite everything, Lucy almost smiled. "Lucy, the girl everyone's apparently talking about. The girl carrying 3 royal heirs," Zara corrected. "Which makes you either the most blessed she-wolf in history or the biggest target in all the territories." She crossed her arms. "Possibly both." "They can't have her," Jareth snarled, and Lucy felt his power ripple through the room, ancient, vast, terrifying. "I'll kill anyone who—" "No one's killing anyone," Zara interrupted calmly, clearly used to managing her king's temper. "But we need to be smart about this. Lucy needs protection, medical care," and she glanced at Lucy's belly, "about 4 more weeks before those babies decide to make their dramatic entrance." For weeks. Lucy had 4 weeks to prepare for motherhood while hiding in the fortress of a mysterious Alpha King who claimed her children as his own. For weeks before her former pack discovered where she was. For weeks before whatever enemies Jareth had made came hunting. "I'm scared," Lucy admitted, the words tumbling out before she could stop them. Jareth's hand found hers, his fingers interlacing with her own. "I know. But I swear to you on my life and my crown, no one will touch you or our children. You're not alone anymore, Lucy. You're mine to protect now. Our children." He'd said it so naturally, as if he'd already accepted these babies as his own. As if Lucy herself was already his. And the most terrifying part? She wanted to believe him. The council chamber was designed to intimidate. Lucy stood at its center, dwarfed by soaring stone columns carved with wolves frozen mid-hunt. Ancient tapestries depicting battles and bloodshed hung from walls that had witnessed centuries of judgment. 12 council members, elders from the most powerful northern packs, sat in a semicircle before her, their faces ranging from curious to hostile. Lucy had never felt more exposed in her life. "So this is the disgraced Silver Pine Wolf," Elder Marcus spoke first, his gray beard bristling with disdain. "The one who claims to carry our king's heirs." "I never claimed," Lucy started, but Jareth's hand on the small of her back silenced her. He stood beside her, dressed in full royal regalia now, black leather and silver armor that made him look every inch the warrior king. His presence was a wall of protection at her side. "I claim it," Jareth said, his voice echoing through the chamber with undeniable authority. "These children are mine. All 3 of them." Murmurs rippled through the council. Several elders exchanged meaningful looks that made Lucy's skin crawl. "Impossible," Elder Catherine declared, leaning forward. Her sharp features reminded Lucy of a hawk. "Our healers examined the girl when you brought her here. She's 8 months pregnant, my king." 8 months. "You've been locked in this fortress for 6 years. Unless you're suggesting." "I'm suggesting nothing," Jareth interrupted coldly. "I'm telling you. These children carry my bloodline. The ancient magic confirms it." "Ancient magic," Elder Marcus scoffed. Convenient excuse for what? Jareth's power exploded through the room, pressing down on every person present until several elders gasped for breath. Lucy felt it too, that crushing weight of dominance, but somehow it parted around her like water, protecting her even as it punished others. Choose your next words carefully, Marcus. The elder wisely remained silent. Elder Catherine recovered first, her expression calculating. If what you say is true, my king, then this is unprecedented. 3 children connected to your bloodline through means we don't understand? The implications are significant. The prophecy, another elder whispered, a younger man named Theo with kind eyes. Could it be? Don't, Jareth warned, but it was too late. What prophecy? Lucy demanded, looking between the elders and Jareth. What aren't you telling me? The chamber fell into uncomfortable silence. Finally, Elder Catherine spoke, her voice heavy with the weight of history. There's an old prophecy from before the Great Division. It speaks of 3 children born under impossible circumstances, carrying the blood of the first king. Children who will either unite all packs under one banner, she paused, her eyes boring into Lucy, or destroy everything our ancestors built. Ice flooded Lucy's veins. You think my babies? We think nothing, Elder Theo said gently. But we must investigate. The timing, the circumstances of their conception, your own mysterious background. There's nothing mysterious about me, Lucy snapped, her protective instincts flaring. I'm a nobody from Silverpine who was rejected and exiled. That's all. Is it? Elder Catherine tilted her head. Tell me, Lucy Thorne, do you remember your parents? The question hit Lucy like a physical blow. My mother died when I was 5. I never knew my father. And your mother's name? Elena. Elena Thorne. She was Lucy's throat tightened. She was Omega. Lowest rank in the pack. Why does this matter? The elders exchanged glances again, and Lucy wanted to scream. What weren't they saying? Perhaps, Elder Catherine said slowly, your mother wasn't who you thought she was. Before Lucy could demand answers, the chamber doors exploded inward. Zara burst through, her sword drawn, her face grim. My king, we have a situation. The Silverpine pack is at our gates. Lucy's world tilted. What? They're demanding we return their fugitive, Zara continued, her eyes flicking to Lucy with something like apology. And they're not alone. 6 packs have joined them, all claiming, she hesitated. Say it, Jareth commanded. They're claiming Lucy stole something from Silverpine before she fled. Something valuable enough to warrant execution. That's a lie. Lucy's hands instinctively covered her belly. I didn't take anything. I barely escaped with my life. Of course it's a lie, Jareth growled, already moving toward the doors. They fabricated evidence to exile her, and now they're fabricating reasons to drag her back. Over my dead body. My king, Elder Marcus stood, his expression grave. If you refuse to hand over a wanted criminal, you'll be declaring war on Silverpine and their allies. Is this girl, are these unborn children worth risking everything you've built? Jareth turned, and Lucy had never seen such fury on a person's face. Those children are the future of this kingdom, he said, each word sharp as a blade. And their mother is my mate. My true mate. So yes, Marcus. They're worth burning every pack to ash if necessary. Lucy's heart stopped. He'd called her his mate. In front of the entire council. Publicly claimed her in a way that couldn't be taken back. Then we prepare for war, Elder Catherine said, standing. Several other elders followed suit, their expressions resigned but determined. The king has spoken. As the council dispersed to mobilize defenses, Jareth pulled Lucy close, his forehead resting against hers. I need you to trust me, he murmured. Can you do that? Lucy thought of Ethan, of the last time she'd trusted someone with her heart, of how thoroughly he'd destroyed her. But Jareth wasn't Ethan. This fierce, broken king who'd emerged from isolation to save her life, who looked at her unborn children with wonder instead of disgust, who'd just risked his entire kingdom to keep her safe. He was nothing like the man who'd rejected her. "I trust you," Lucy whispered, and felt his arms tighten around her. "Good," Jareth said. "Because there's one more thing you need to know before we face them." He pulled back, his golden eyes burning into hers. "The night you can't remember, the night those children were conceived? I think I was there, Lucy. I think somehow, through ancient magic or fate or something beyond my understanding, I was with you. And someone tried very hard to make sure neither of us remembered." Lucy's mind reeled. That night, the blank space in her memory, 3 months before Ethan rejected her. The night she'd woken up in her own bed with no recollection of the hours before, her body aching in ways that suggested. "But how?" Jareth's expression turned predatory. "That's exactly what I intend to find out. Starting with whoever's leading that army at our gates." He took her hand, his grip solid and sure, and together they walked toward the fortress walls. Toward the confrontation that would either save Lucy's children or doom them all. And in the distance, Lucy heard a familiar voice shouting her name. Ethan had come for her. Ethan looked exactly as Lucy remembered, sandy blonde hair, piercing blue eyes, the strong jawline that had once made her heart flutter. He stood at the head of an army of at least 200 wolves, his silver pine warriors flanked by fighters from packs Lucy recognized, Ironwood, Riverside, even some Northridge wolves wearing their distinctive gray armor. But it was the woman standing beside Ethan that made Lucy's blood turn to ice. Kara. Her former best friend, dressed in Luna's regalia, her hand possessively wrapped around Ethan's arm. Of course, Lucy breathed, the final piece clicking into place. It was always her. Jareth's hand tightened around hers. They stood on Shadowmere's battlements, surrounded by his elite guards, looking down at the army that had come to claim her. Zara stood at Jareth's other side, her hand resting on her sword hilt, her eyes scanning for threats. "Lucy Thorne." Ethan's voice carried across the distance, amplified by his alpha authority. "You are charged with theft, conspiracy, and treason against the Silver Pine Pack. Surrender yourself immediately, and we'll make your death quick." "How merciful," Jareth drawled, his voice dripping with sarcasm. "Tell me, Silver Pine Alpha, what exactly did my mate steal from your pathetic excuse for a pack?" The word mate rippled through both armies like lightning. Lucy heard gasps, murmurs, the sharp intake of breath from warriors who understood the implications. Ethan's face darkened. "Your mate? She's carrying another man's bastards. She's carrying my children," Jareth interrupted, his power rolling out like thunder. Several wolves in Ethan's army actually stepped back. 3 heirs to the Northern Throne. "So I'll ask again, what did she allegedly steal that's worth declaring war on me?" Kara stepped forward, her pretty face twisted with malice. "The Moonstone Amulet. An ancient artifact that's been in Silverpine's possession for generations. Lucy took it the night she fled, and we have witnesses who—" "Witnesses you paid or threatened," Lucy called down, surprised by the strength in her own voice. "Just like you paid them to lie about me before. Did you enjoy it, Kara? Sleeping with my mate while pretending to be my friend? Planting evidence so you could take my place?" Kara's expression flickered, just for a moment, confirming everything. "You're delusional," Kara said, but her voice wavered. "Ethan rejected you because you were unfaithful, because you spelled him," Zara interjected, her eyes narrowing. "I can smell the residual magic from here. Compulsion work, amateur but effective. How long have you been dosing him, witch?" Ethan's head snapped toward Kara. "What is she talking about?" "She's lying," Kara said quickly. "They're all lying to protect their precious king's whore." Jareth moved so fast Lucy barely saw it. One moment he was beside her, the next he was shifting mid-leap, his massive black wolf sailing over the battlements toward the army below. He landed directly in front of Ethan and Kara, shifting back to human form with his hand wrapped around Kara's throat. "Call her that again," Jareth said softly, deadly, "and I'll paint these fields with your blood. Release her." Ethan snarled, his own wolf rising. You have no right. I have every right to defend my mate's honor, Jareth countered. But let's discuss rights, shall we? Tell me, Alpha Ethan, does Silverpine law permit rejection of a pregnant mate? Ethan's silence was damning. I thought not, Jareth continued. So you broke your own pack laws when you rejected Lucy. Which means your rejection is void. Which means she's still technically your Luna, and by attacking her, you're committing treason against your own pack. He smiled, cold and sharp. Quite the predicament. Lucy watched from above, her heart pounding. She should be terrified. Jareth was surrounded by enemies, outnumbered 100 to 1. But his warriors had shifted, forming a protective line between the king and the opposing army. And something in the way Jareth stood, utterly confident and unafraid, made Lucy believe he could handle anything these packs threw at him. The rejection is valid, a new voice called out. An elderly man stepped forward from Ethan's army, Elder Richard from Silverpine, the one who'd supervised Lucy's exile. We followed proper protocol. You followed corrupted protocol, Jareth said. Protocol influenced by compulsion magic and false evidence. I've already sent word to the High Council. They'll be investigating Silverpine's recent leadership decisions. He finally released Kara, shoving her back toward Ethan. In the meantime, Lucy remains under my protection. Any pack that has a problem with that can take it up with me personally. This isn't over, Ethan growled. But Lucy could see doubt creeping into his expression, the way his eyes kept flicking to Kara with something like suspicion. Oh, it's barely begun, Jareth agreed. Now get off my territory before I forget I'm supposed to be a diplomatic king. The armies stared at each other, tension crackling in the air. Lucy held her breath, waiting for someone to make the first move, to start the war that would end in countless deaths. Then one of the Ironwood warriors stepped forward. Alpha Marcus sends his regards, the man said, bowing slightly to Jareth. He wishes to make clear that Ironwood stands neutral in this dispute. We came only because Silverpine claimed Lucy Thorne had committed crimes against multiple packs. If that claim is false, he shot Ethan a disgusted look. We want no part of this. One by one, the other allied packs began backing away. Riverside, Northridge, even some of the Silverpine warriors looked uncertain, unwilling to die for a cause that was rapidly losing credibility. Within minutes, Ethan's army had shrunk to less than 50 loyal fighters. This isn't over, Lucy. Ethan shouted as his forces retreated. You can hide behind the Alpha King now, but the truth will come out. Those bastards you're carrying are worth more than you'll ever be, Lucy called back, her voice steady despite her shaking hands. And you rejected me, Ethan. You lost any right to have an opinion about my children the moment you threw me away like garbage. She watched him flinch, watched Kara pull him back toward the tree line, watched her former life disappear into the forest. Jareth returned to the battlements in seconds, immediately pulling Lucy into his arms. Are you all right? I don't know, Lucy admitted. Her twins, no, her triplets, were kicking frantically, responding to her elevated heartbeat. I thought I'd feel something, seeing him again. Anger, maybe. Or pain. And instead, Lucy looked up at Jareth, at this powerful king who'd defended her honor against an army, and felt her heart shift. Nothing. I felt nothing for him. She placed her hand over Jareth's heart. But I feel everything for you. Is that crazy? We barely know each other. The heart knows what the heart knows, Zara said, approaching them with a smile. And speaking of hearts, we should get you back inside. You've had enough excitement for one day. But as Lucy turned to follow Zara inside, pain suddenly lanced through her abdomen, sharp, fierce, stealing her breath. Lucy? Jareth caught her as her knees buckled. What's wrong? I don't. Some things, Lucy gasped, clutching her belly. Warm liquid soaked through her dress, and horror flooded her system. No, it's too early. They're not due for another month. Healer! Jareth roared, sweeping Lucy into his arms. Now! As he carried her through the fortress corridors, Lucy felt another contraction tear through her. The babies were coming. A month premature, in the middle of a crisis, her body unprepared and her mind screaming that something was wrong. "Stay with me," Jareth commanded, his voice rough with fear. "Lucy, stay with me. I didn't find you just to lose you now." But as darkness crept in at the edges of her vision, as her babies fought to enter a world that already wanted them dead, Lucy wondered if fate had brought her to Shadowmere to save her. Or to watch her die in the arms of the mate she'd never really get to know. Pain was Lucy's entire world. She'd heard stories about childbirth, tales whispered among mated females about the agony and the beauty, the fear and the triumph. But nothing could have prepared her for this, her body tearing itself apart to bring 3 lives into the world a month before they were ready. "Push, Lucy." The healer, a stern woman named Margaret with silver-streaked hair, barked orders like a general commanding troops. "I can see the first one's head. You need to push now." Lucy screamed, her fingernails digging into the bedsheets as another contraction ripped through her. Sweat poured down her face, her hair plastered to her neck, every muscle trembling with exhaustion. "I can't," she sobbed. "I can't do this." "Yes, you can." Jareth's voice cut through the fog of pain. He knelt beside the bed, his hand gripping hers so tightly she felt bones grinding together. His golden eyes blazed with fierce determination. "You're the strongest person I've ever met, Lucy. You survived rejection, exile, and an assassination attempt while protecting these babies. You can survive this." Something in his absolute certainty gave her strength. Lucy bore down, pushing with everything she had left, and suddenly relief. The pressure released, and a sharp cry filled the room. "First daughter," Margaret announced, holding up a tiny, wriggling infant covered in blood and vernix. Small, but fighter's lungs. Lucy barely had time to glimpse her before another contraction hit. The second baby came faster, sliding into the world with another indignant wail. "Second daughter," Margaret said, passing both babies to assistants who began cleaning them. "Now the boy. This one's going to be difficult. He's positioned wrong." Lucy's vision blurred. She'd been in labor for 6 hours, and her body was failing. She could feel it, the way her strength was draining, the way darkness kept trying to pull her under. "Lucy." Jareth's face appeared above hers, his expression desperate. "Look at me. Stay here. Don't you dare leave me." "Tired," Lucy mumbled. "So tired." "I know. But you have to push one more time. Just one more, and then you get to hold them. All 3 of them." His thumb brushed her cheek. "Please, Lucy. I need you. They need you." With the last reserves of her strength, Lucy pushed. The pain was transcendent, white-hot, obliterating everything else. She felt something inside her tear, felt warm blood gushing, too much blood, and heard Margaret curse. Then the third cry joined the others. Weaker than his sisters, but defiant nonetheless. "Boy," Margaret said grimly. "But we have a problem. She's hemorrhaging." The room exploded into controlled chaos. Margaret shouted orders, assistants rushed to press towels against Lucy's lower body, and Jareth looked terrified. "Fix her," he commanded. "Whatever it takes, you fix her right now." "My king, the bleeding is severe. If we can't stop it." "Then use the old magic," Jareth snarled. "Blood magic, healing magic, I don't care. She doesn't die. Do you understand me? She doesn't die." Through her fading consciousness, Lucy heard Margaret's sharp intake of breath. "My king, blood magic requires a sacrifice. A life for a life. You'd have to do it." "Jareth, no," Lucy whispered, trying to reach for him. "The babies need you. Can't sacrifice yourself." But Jareth was already shifting, his claws extending. Before anyone could stop him, he dragged them across his palm, drawing a line of crimson blood. He pressed his bleeding hand to Lucy's abdomen, directly over her womb, and began to chant in a language Lucy didn't recognize, ancient words that made the air itself shiver. Power flooded through her. Jareth's power, his life force, pouring into her body like liquid fire. Lucy felt her torn flesh knitting back together, felt her depleted strength returning, felt death's grip loosening. But she also felt Jareth weakening. His face went pale, his strong frame beginning to sway. "That's enough." Margaret tried to pull Jareth's hand away. "Any more and you'll kill yourself." "Not enough," Jareth ground out through clenched teeth. "Not until she's stable." "You stubborn fool," Margaret hissed. But she didn't stop him. Lucy wanted to protest, wanted to tell him to stop, but the healing magic had paralyzed her vocal cords. All she could do was watch through tears as this incredible man, this king who barely knew her, gave up pieces of his own life to save hers. Finally, Margaret declared, the bleeding stopped. "My king, you can release the spell." Jareth collapsed. He crumpled beside the bed like a puppet with cut strings, his breathing shallow, his golden eyes dim. Lucy tried to reach for him, but her arms wouldn't cooperate. "Is he?" she managed to croak. "He'll live," Margaret said, checking Jareth's pulse. "But he gave you more than he should have. He'll be weak for days, maybe weeks." She looked at Lucy with something like respect. "He nearly died for you. I've served this king for 15 years, and I've never seen him risk himself for anyone. Not even for—" She stopped abruptly. "For who?" Lucy pressed. Margaret hesitated, then sighed. "His first mate. Elena. She died 6 years ago, murdered by enemies who wanted to weaken his rule. He loved her desperately, but when she was attacked, he was too far away. He arrived just in time to watch her die." She began cleaning up, her movements efficient. "He swore he'd never mate again. Never risk loving someone he couldn't protect. That's why he locked himself in this fortress. That's why seeing him claim you, risk his life for you, it's nothing short of miraculous." Lucy's heart clenched. Elena. The same name as her mother. "Margaret," Lucy said slowly, "what did Elena look like?" "The former queen?" Margaret frowned. "Beautiful. Dark hair, green eyes like yours. She had a laugh that could light up a room." Her expression softened with memory. "Why?" Before Lucy could answer, one of the assistants approached with a bundle. "Your daughter, Luna. The firstborn." Lucy's breath caught as they placed the tiny infant in her arms. The baby, her daughter, was perfect. Small, yes, with skin too pale and lungs that wheezed slightly with each breath, but perfect. She had dark wisps of hair, and when her eyes fluttered open, Lucy gasped. "Golden. Like Jareth's." "That's impossible," Margaret breathed, leaning closer. "Unless—" The assistant brought the second daughter, and she too had golden eyes beneath her tiny, scrunched features. And the boy, the smallest of the three, when they finally placed him in Lucy's free arm, his eyes were the deepest gold Lucy had ever seen. "They're his," Lucy whispered, looking at the 3 miracles cradled against her chest. "They're really his." "But how?" We never." "You don't remember," Margaret said carefully. "But what if you did meet? What if somehow, through magic or fate or divine intervention, you and the king were brought together that night you can't recall?" She glanced at Jareth's unconscious form. "What if someone tried to hide it? To separate you? To prevent these children from being born?" "The prophecy," Lucy breathed. 3 children born under impossible circumstances. 3 children who will either unite the packs or destroy them. She looked down at her babies, so small, so innocent, already at the center of forces beyond their understanding. "Someone's afraid of them." "Someone's afraid of what they represent," Margaret corrected. "Power. Change. The end of the old order." She placed a hand on Lucy's shoulder. "You asked what Elena looked like. Now let me ask you something. What did your mother look like?" Lucy's blood ran cold. Dark hair. Green eyes. A laugh that she couldn't finish. Couldn't breathe. "What was your mother's name?" Margaret pressed. "Elena Thorne. She died when I was 5. She was Omega, the lowest," Lucy's voice cracked. "Oh gods." There were rumors, Margaret said quietly, that the queen didn't die, that she faked her death to protect someone. A child, perhaps. A daughter who would have been hunted if anyone knew she carried royal blood. She looked meaningfully at Lucy. A daughter who might one day mate with the king and produce heirs powerful enough to fulfill an ancient prophecy. That's insane, Lucy whispered. But pieces were falling into place, her mother's careful warnings to never let anyone know she was special, the way they'd moved from pack to pack before settling in Silverpine, the strange necklace her mother had given her before she died. The necklace Lucy had been wearing the night she couldn't remember. The necklace that had disappeared that same night. The moonstone amulet, Lucy said suddenly. Kara said I stole it, but I never even saw it. Unless, she looked down at her babies, at Jareth's unconscious form, at the impossible truth staring her in the face. Unless my mother left it to me. Unless it's been mine all along. A royal artifact, Margaret confirmed. With the power to break curses, hide bloodlines, and she paused significantly, temporarily transport souls across great distances. Lucy's mind reeled. The necklace. The lost night. The impossible children. It all led to one conclusion. Someone had used the amulet to bring her and Jareth together, to circumvent whatever separated them, to create these babies. And then someone else had stolen the amulet and tried to hide what had happened, to prevent the prophecy from coming true. But who? And why? A groan from beside the bed pulled Lucy from her spiraling thoughts. Jareth's eyes fluttered open, immediately seeking hers. Lucy, he rasped. The babies. Perfect, Lucy said, tears streaming down her face. They're perfect. And they're yours. Truly yours. Jareth struggled to sit up, and with Margaret's help, he managed to kneel beside the bed. When he looked at his children, his expression crumbled. 3 treasures, he whispered, reaching out with a trembling hand to touch the firstborn's tiny fist. She grasped his finger immediately, her grip surprisingly strong. My 3 impossible treasures. Jareth, Lucy said, I think my mother was your Elena. I think she didn't die, she ran. Hid. Became someone else to protect me. And I think she left me something that someone wants badly enough to destroy us for. Jareth's eyes sharpened despite his exhaustion. The amulet. The amulet, Lucy confirmed. And I think I know who has it. Before she could elaborate, alarms began blaring throughout the fortress. Zara burst into the room, her sword already drawn. We're under attack, she announced grimly. Rogues, dozens of them, but they're organized. Led by, she stopped, her face going pale. My king, they're led by someone who claims to have an army of the dead. Wolves we all watched die years ago. And she's demanding we hand over Lucy and the children, or she'll raise every fallen warrior in our burial grounds and turn them against us. She. Lucy's heart stopped. Who is she? Zara met her eyes. She calls herself Kara the Undying. And she says she's Lucy's sister. Sister. The word echoed in Lucy's mind like a death knell. She stared down at her 3 newborn babies, still slick with birth, still drawing their first fragile breaths in a world that was already trying to kill them. I don't have a sister, Lucy said, but even as she spoke, doubt crept in. Her mother had been secretive about her past. There had always been gaps in her stories, questions Lucy had been taught never to ask. Apparently you do, Zara said grimly. And she's raising an army of corpses outside our walls. Jareth tried to stand, but his legs buckled. The blood magic had taken too much from him. Margaret caught him before he hit the floor. You're in no condition to fight, the healer said firmly. You need at least a day to recover. I don't have a day. Jareth's voice was weak but determined. My mate and children are threatened. I'll crawl to those walls if I have to. You'll do no such thing, Margaret snapped. You'll stay here and protect Lucy while she's vulnerable. Let your warriors handle the defenses. That's why you trained them. As if summoned, 3 of Jareth's elite guards entered, battle-hardened wolves with scars and steady eyes. The leader, A massive man with a shaved head and a scar running down his face bowed to Jareth. "Enzo reporting, my king. We've sealed all entrances and positioned archers on every wall." But he hesitated. "The witch isn't lying. She has at least 50 reanimated wolves, all bearing the marks of warriors who died in battles years ago. Our own dead turned against us." Lucy's stomach churned. Necromancy. One of the darkest, most forbidden magics. To practice, it meant surrendering your humanity, making deals with entities that existed beyond death. "How is this possible?" Jareth demanded. "The Moonstone amulet has protective magic, not necromancy," Lucy finished, pieces clicking together. "But if someone corrupted it, twisted it somehow," she looked at Jareth. "My mother told me the amulet was a key. She never said to what." "To the veil," Margaret breathed, her face ashen. "Gods above, if someone used the Moonstone amulet to punch a hole in the veil between life and death, then they could pull souls back from the other side," Zara finished. "Trap them in their old bodies and force them to fight." A high, clear voice rang out across the fortress, amplified by magic to reach every corner. "Lucy Thorne. I know you can hear me, sister dear. Come out, wherever you are." Lucy's blood froze. That voice. She knew that voice, but it was impossible. Jareth gripped her hand. "Stay here. Let me handle this." No, Lucy tried to rise, but her body was still weak from childbirth. "She called me sister. This is about me. About us." She looked down at her sleeping babies, memorizing their tiny faces. "Keep them safe. Whatever happens, promise me you'll keep them safe." "Lucy, don't." But Lucy was already standing, ignoring Margaret's protests, ignoring the pain shooting through her body. She walked to the window that overlooked the courtyard and looked down. The army of the dead stood in perfect formation, warriors with gray skin and empty eyes, their bodies held together by black magic that pulsed like infected veins beneath their flesh. And at their head, wearing the Moonstone amulet around her neck, stood a woman who looked exactly like Lucy would in 15 years. Older. Harder. With the same dark hair and green eyes, but twisted by hatred and dark magic until they glowed an unnatural crimson. "Hello, baby sister," the woman called up. "Surprised to see me? I imagine Mother never mentioned she had 2 daughters. Didn't mention that she abandoned the firstborn to save the precious second." Lucy's mind reeled. "Who are you?" "I'm Kimberly," the woman said, spreading her arms. "Your older sister, born 2 years before you. Born powerful, born special, and born cursed." She laughed, the sound like breaking glass. "Mother knew I was too dangerous to keep. Too connected to the prophecy. So she did what any loving parent would do. She dumped me with a pack of rogues and ran away with you." "I don't believe you," Lucy said, but her voice wavered. "Don't you?" Kimberly touched the amulet at her throat. "This belonged to our mother. She used it to hide you, to suppress your power so no one would know what you were. But she couldn't hide me. I was already too far gone, already showing signs of what I'd become." Her smile turned vicious. "So she chose you. And she left me to be raised by monsters." Zara appeared at Lucy's side. "She's lying. Trying to manipulate you." "Is she?" Lucy wondered. So much of her childhood didn't make sense. Her mother's paranoia, their constant moving, the way Elena had always checked Lucy's dreams, as if searching for something dark. "I don't care what happened in the past," Lucy called down. "But you can't have my children. Whatever you're planning, whatever you think they are." "I know exactly what they are," Kimberly interrupted. "They're the key to the prophecy. 3 children of mixed blood, born from impossible union, carrying the power to reshape reality itself." She gestured to her undead army. "With their blood, I can break the veil permanently. I can bring back everyone who's ever died. No more grief, no more loss, no more death." "That's insane," Jareth snarled from behind Lucy. He'd managed to stand, leaning heavily on Enzo. "You'd create a world of the undead. An abomination." I'd create a world where no child is abandoned, Kimberly shot back. Where no mother has to choose between her daughters. Where everyone gets a second chance. Her eyes locked on Lucy. Give me the children, Lucy. Let me end death itself. Isn't that worth 3 small lives? Never, Lucy said. The word came out stronger than she felt. Kimberly's expression hardened. Then I'll take them. And I'll make you watch as I drain every drop of their blood into the veil. She raised her hand, and the undead army surged forward. Defend the fortress. Zara roared, and chaos erupted. Arrows flew from the battlements, finding their marks in undead flesh. But the reanimated warriors didn't fall, they just kept coming, climbing over each other to reach the walls. The sound of claws on stone, of bodies slamming into doors, of her people screaming as they fought the unnatural, it filled Lucy's ears until she wanted to scream herself. Get her back to the birthing room, Jareth commanded. Seal the door. Don't open it for anyone but me. I can fight, Lucy protested, even though she could barely stand. You just gave birth to 3 premature babies, Margaret said, pulling Lucy away from the window. You're hemorrhaging again, your body is in shock, and you can barely walk. You'll die in minutes if you try to fight. Lucy knew she was right. Hated that she was right. She let Margaret and 2 guards escort her back to the room where her babies slept, blissfully unaware that an army of corpses was trying to reach them. Bar the door, Margaret ordered once they were inside. Nothing gets through. Nothing. Lucy collapsed on the bed beside her children's bassinets. She reached out, touching each tiny hand, feeling their warmth, their life. I won't let her have you, she whispered. I don't care what I have to do. What I have to become. You're mine. Outside, the sounds of battle intensified. Lucy heard Jareth's roar, primal, powerful, the Alpha King defending his territory. She heard screams, howls, the clash of steel and claw. Then, suddenly, silence. The kind of silence that came before something terrible. Margaret, Lucy said quietly. Something's wrong. The healer moved to the door, pressing her ear against it. I don't hear anything. No fighting, no footsteps. Then a voice, muffled but clear, came from the other side. Lucy? It's me. It's Jareth. Open the door. Margaret reached for the bar, but Lucy grabbed her arm. Wait. What? It's the king. Is it? Lucy stared at the door, her instincts screaming. Jareth would never leave the battle to check on us. Not while his people were dying. The voice came again, more insistent. Lucy, please. I'm wounded. I need the healer. Margaret looked torn, but she kept the door barred. If you're really Jareth, Lucy called out, tell me what you whispered to me right after the babies were born. When everyone else was focused on stopping the bleeding. Silence. Then laughter, Kimberly's laughter, coming from Jareth's mouth. Very clever, sister. Mother trained you better than I thought. The door exploded inward, torn from its hinges by dark magic. Kimberly stood in the doorway, wearing Jareth's face, his body, his scent. But it doesn't matter. I'm inside now. The guards lunged at her, but with a gesture, Kimberly sent them flying. They hit the walls and crumpled, unconscious or dead. Margaret tried to use healing magic as a weapon, but Kimberly absorbed it, her body flickering between Jareth's form and her own. Shapeshifting, Lucy breathed. You're a skinwalker. One of my many talents, Kimberly said, her form settling back into her own. She approached the bassinets, and Lucy threw herself between them and her sister. You'll have to kill me first, Lucy said. Oh, Lucy. Kimberly's smile was almost pitying. That's exactly what I'm planning to do. She moved faster than Lucy could track, her hand plunging toward Lucy's chest. Lucy braced for the impact, for the pain. But it never came. Jareth, the real Jareth, covered in blood and barely conscious, crashed through the window in his wolf form. He tackled Kimberly mid-strike, his jaws closing around her throat. But Kimberly was ready. She twisted, using Jareth's momentum against him, and slammed him into the floor. The impact shook the room. Jareth tried to rise, but his legs gave out. He'd pushed himself too far, used too much strength. Kimberly stood over him, the moonstone amulet glowing at her throat. How romantic. The dying king, trying to save his mate one last time. She placed her foot on Jareth's chest, pressing down. Don't worry. I'll make sure your children know their father died a hero. No, Lucy screamed. And something inside her broke. Power exploded from Lucy's body, raw, ancient, the kind of magic that existed before the pacts, before the rules, before the veil itself. It slammed into Kimberly, lifting her off Jareth and hurling her across the room. Lucy stood, and she wasn't weak anymore. Wasn't wounded. Energy coursed through her veins, borrowed from her children, from Jareth, from something older and deeper than all of them combined. You want my babies? Lucy's voice echoed with multiple tones, her own, her mother's, voices of queens and warriors long dead. You'll have to go through me. And, trust me, sister, I'm a lot harder to kill than you think. Kimberly's eyes widened with something like fear. Impossible. You're just an Omega. You have no power. I'm a mother, Lucy roared. And you just threatened my children. She raised her hands, and the world itself seemed to bend to her will. The power flowing through Lucy was unlike anything she'd ever experienced. It wasn't just her own strength, it was the combined force of every woman in her bloodline, every queen who'd ever fought to protect what was hers, every mother who'd stood between death and her children. Kimberly scrambled backward, her confidence cracking. What are you? I'm what Mother was afraid I'd become, Lucy said, her voice resonating with ancient authority. I'm what you could never be, no matter how many corpses you raise or how much dark magic you steal. She took a step forward, and the floor beneath her feet glowed with silver light. I'm the true heir to the Moonstone's power. Behind her, Jareth struggled to his feet, his golden eyes wide with wonder and concern. Lucy, the magic, it's burning through you. You can't sustain this. I can sustain whatever I need to protect our family, Lucy said, not taking her eyes off Kimberly. The power thrummed through her veins, hot and wild and demanding. She could feel it wanting to consume, to destroy, to annihilate the threat before her. But beneath that primal urge was something else, clarity. Kimberly wasn't just evil. She was broken. You were abandoned, Lucy said softly, and saw her sister flinch. Left with rogues who tortured you, who twisted you into something dark. Mother made a choice that destroyed you, and I'm sorry. I'm so sorry that happened to you. Sorry. Kimberly's laugh was bitter. Sorry doesn't undo 15 years of hell, Lucy. Sorry doesn't erase the scars, the starvation, her voice broke. The nights I screamed for a mother who never came. Lucy's heart ached. For just a moment, she saw past the necromancer, past the skinwalker, past the monster, and saw the terrified little girl who'd been thrown away like garbage. You're right, Lucy said. Nothing can undo that. But killing my children won't heal you either. Breaking the veil won't bring back the childhood you lost. It'll just spread the pain to everyone else. At least everyone else will know what it feels like. Kimberly shrieked. At least they'll understand what it's like to lose everything. I do understand, Lucy said. Ethan rejected me when I was pregnant and alone. My pack exiled me to die. I've spent the last 3 days running for my life, convinced I'd never see my babies take their first breath. She gestured to the 3 bassinets behind her. But they're here. They're alive. And they're proof that, even in our darkest moments, there's still hope. Hope, Kimberly spat. What has hope ever given me? A sister, Lucy said simply. I'm standing right here, Kimberly. I'm not Mother. I'm not the pack that hurt you. I'm just me. And I don't want to kill you. I want to help you. For a moment, just one fragile, impossible moment, something shifted in Kimberly's expression. The crimson glow in her eyes dimmed slightly, revealing the green underneath. The same green as Lucy's. The same green as their mother's. You can't help me, Kimberly whispered. I've done too much. Gone too far. The things I've traded for this power. She touched the moonstone amulet at her throat, and her hand trembled. There's no coming back from what I've become. There's always a way back, Jareth said, moving to stand beside Lucy despite his wounds. I spent 6 years locked in this fortress, convinced I was too broken to love again. Too damaged to trust. But Lucy showed me that healing is possible. That second chances exist. Pretty words from a dying king, Kimberly said, but her voice lacked its earlier venom. You gave too much of yourself to save her. I can smell your death on you, Jareth. You have hours, maybe less. Lucy's blood ran cold. She'd known Jareth was weak, but dying? No, I won't accept that. You don't have a choice, Kimberly said. Blood magic demands balance. A life for a life. He saved you, Lucy. Now he pays the price. Then I'll give it back, Lucy said immediately. I'll reverse the spell, return what he gave me. You can't, Margaret said from where she'd been thrown against the wall. The healer was conscious, but battered, blood trickling from a cut on her forehead. Once blood magic is cast, only the caster can undo it. And only if they're willing to die in place of the person they saved. Lucy turned to Jareth, horror flooding through her. You knew this would kill you, and you did it anyway. Jareth's smile was soft, resigned. I told you I'd burn the world to protect my 3 treasures. I just didn't mention I'd burn myself first. No, Lucy said, her voice breaking. No, there has to be another way. Kimberly, she spun to her sister, desperation replacing anger. You're a necromancer. You manipulate life and death. Can you save him? Kimberly stared at her, stunned. You're asking me, the woman who just tried to murder your children, to save your mate? I'm asking my sister to do what our mother should have done years ago, Lucy said. I'm asking you to choose love over vengeance. Family over fury. She stepped forward, closing the distance between them. Please, Kimberly. I just found him. I can't lose him now. Tears, actual tears, welled in Kimberly's eyes. Why would you trust me? After everything I've done, why would you? Because you're my sister, Lucy said. And because I think, deep down, you don't want to be the villain in this story. You want to be the girl our mother should have saved. The girl who deserved love and protection and a family. She held out her hand. Let me give you what she never did. Let me give you a choice. The room held its breath. Even the babies seemed to sense the gravity of the moment, their tiny hearts beating in sync as they slept. Kimberly looked at Lucy's outstretched hand. Then at Jareth, who was swaying on his feet, held upright by sheer will alone. Then at the 3 bassinets containing children who carried impossible magic in their blood. If I do this, Kimberly said slowly, if I save him, I can't undo what I've already done. The dead I've raised, the magic I've twisted. That stain is permanent. Then we'll help you carry it, Lucy said. Together. As sisters. Kimberly's hand trembled as she reached for Lucy's. The moment their fingers touched, power sparked between them, Lucy's silver light meeting Kimberly's crimson darkness, creating something new. Something balanced. I don't know if this will work, Kimberly admitted. Reversing blood magic it requires a sacrifice. Something of equal value to what he gave. Take it from me, Lucy said immediately. No. Jareth tried to step forward, but his legs finally gave out. He collapsed, caught by Enzo and Zara, who'd appeared in the doorway. Lucy, you just gave birth. You're barely healed. If she takes your life force, then our children will have at least one parent, Lucy said firmly. She looked at Kimberly. Do it. Whatever you need from me, take it. Kimberly's expression was unreadable. Then she did something unexpected. She smiled. A real smile, sad and beautiful and achingly human. You're exactly like Mother described you in her letters, Kimberly said softly. Fierce. Selfless. Stupidly brave. She pulled the moonstone amulet from around her neck. But I'm not taking your life, Lucy. I'm giving you mine. What? No. But Kimberly was already moving. She placed the amulet in Lucy's hands, then turned to Jareth. Her hands glowed with crimson light as she pressed them to his chest, over his heart. "The magic demands a life for a life," Kimberly said. Jareth gave his life force to save Lucy. Lucy would give hers to save Jareth. But her voice cracked. "I can give mine to save them both. To finally do something right. Something our mother would be proud of." "Kimberly, please," Lucy begged. "There has to be another way." "There isn't," Kimberly said. Her body was already beginning to fade, becoming translucent as she poured her life force into Jareth. "But this is my choice, Lucy. Finally, after all these years, I get to choose who I am. And I choose to be your sister. The one who saved you instead of destroying you." Tears streamed down Lucy's face as she watched Jareth's color return, his breathing steady, his wounds beginning to heal. He was going to live. But the cost. "Tell my nieces and nephew about me," Kimberly whispered, her form nearly transparent now. "Tell them their aunt loved them enough to." Her words cut off as her body dissolved completely, becoming pure light that flowed into Jareth's chest. Then she was gone. The room fell silent except for the soft breathing of the babies and the sound of Lucy's sobs. Jareth surged to his feet, his strength fully restored, his eyes wide with shock. "What did she, Lucy? What did she do?" "She saved you," Lucy whispered, clutching the moonstone amulet to her chest. "She saved us both." Margaret approached Jareth cautiously, checking his pulse, his eyes, his breathing. "The blood magic is reversed. Completely. You're fully healed. More than healed. She gave you all her power, her life force." The healer's voice was filled with awe. "I've never seen a sacrifice this complete." Zara knelt beside Lucy, placing a gentle hand on her shoulder. "Your sister died a hero." "My sister died alone," Lucy said bitterly. "Just like she lived." I could have. "You gave her something no one else ever had," Jareth said, kneeling before Lucy and taking her hands. "You gave her a choice. A chance to be more than what the world made her. And she took it." Lucy looked down at the moonstone amulet in her hands. It no longer glowed with crimson corruption. Kimberly's sacrifice had purified it, returning it to its original silver light. But as Lucy held it, she felt something else. A presence. Familiar and warm and... "Thank you, little sister," Lucy gasped. Kimberly's voice, clear as day, resonating from the amulet itself. "I'm not gone. Not completely. The amulet holds memories, spirits, echoes of everyone who's ever worn it. Mother's here too. She says she's sorry. She says she's so proud of you." "Kimberly?" Lucy whispered. You're in the amulet?" "What's left of me, yes. Not enough to interact with the world, but enough to watch over you. Over them." Lucy felt warmth spread through the amulet, as if Kimberly was looking at the babies. "They're beautiful, Lucy. So beautiful. Protect them. Love them. Be the mother to them that ours couldn't be to us." "I will," Lucy promised, tears streaming freely now. "I swear it." "Good. Now go. The army outside, it'll fall apart without me controlling it. But Ethan's still out there, and Kara. They know about the prophecy now. They'll come for the children when they think you're weak." "Let them try," Jareth growled. "We'll be ready. Be more than ready. Be united." The presence in the amulet pulsed one last time. "Tell my nieces and nephew that their Aunt Kimberly loved them more than life itself. Because that's the truest thing I've ever said." Then the presence faded, leaving only the gentle warmth of the silver light. Lucy clutched the amulet to her chest, feeling the weight of everything that had happened. She'd found a sister and lost her in the same night. Gained answers to questions she'd never thought to ask. Learned the truth about her mother, her power, her destiny. And she'd almost lost Jareth. "Never again," Lucy said fiercely, looking up at him. "We almost lost each other tonight. I'm not letting that happen again. No more secrets, no more sacrifices. We face everything together from now on." "Together," Jareth agreed, pulling her close. "You, me, and our 3 impossible treasures." One of the babies, the youngest, the boy, chose that moment to wake with a sharp cry. Lucy laughed through her tears, moving to the bassinet to lift him into her arms. "Shoo, sweetheart," she murmured, cradling her son against her chest. "Mama's here. Papa's here. You're safe." Jareth stood beside her, looking down at their son with such love in his eyes that Lucy's heart ached. What should we name them? Lucy hadn't thought about names. There'd been too much chaos, too much death and danger. But now, holding her son while his sisters slept peacefully beside them, she knew exactly what their names should be. "Elena," she said, touching the eldest daughter's bassinet. "After our mothers, mine and Jareth's. She'll carry their strength." "Beautiful," Jareth said. His fingers stroked the second daughter's tiny hand. "And this fierce little warrior?" "Zara," Lucy said, glancing at the captain who'd protected them so fiercely. The warrior woman's eyes widened with emotion. "She'll need someone strong to live up to." "My queen," Zara said, her voice thick. "I'm honored." "And our son," Jareth prompted. Lucy looked down at the boy in her arms, smaller than his sisters, hidden in their shadow, but with eyes that held ancient wisdom. "Kieran," she said. "It means little dark one. For the darkness he was born into, and the light he'll bring to chase it away." "Elena, Zara, and Kieran," Jareth repeated, testing the names. "Our three treasures. The children who'll fulfill a prophecy and change everything." "Or who'll just be loved," Lucy said softly. "Maybe that's enough. Maybe being loved unconditionally is the real power that changes the world." A commotion from the courtyard drew their attention. Enzo appeared in the doorway, slightly out of breath. "My king, my queen, the undead army has collapsed. Without Kimberly's magic sustaining them, they've returned to dust. And the enemy forces, they're retreating." Ethan and Kara fled the moment Kimberly died. "Of course they did," Zara said with disgust. "Cowards. They'll regroup and try again." "Let them," Lucy said, surprising herself with her own confidence. "Let them see what happens when they threaten our family. When they come back, and they will come back, we'll be ready. Not just ready. We'll be unstoppable." She looked around the room at the people who'd become her family in such a short time. Jareth, her impossible mate who'd risked everything for her. Margaret, the healer who'd fought to save her life. Zara, the warrior who'd defended her honor. Enzo and the guards who'd stood against an army of the dead. And the three tiny lives cradled in bassinets, depending on all of them to keep them safe. "This isn't the end," Lucy said. "This is just the beginning." The prophecy talked about three children who would either unite the packs or destroy them. "Well, we're going to make damn sure it's the former." "How?" Margaret asked. "The other packs fear your children. They'll always see them as threats." "Then we'll prove them wrong," Jareth said. "We'll show them that these children are gifts, not weapons. That the prophecy isn't about destruction, it's about transformation. We'll need allies," Zara pointed out. "The neutral packs who backed away from Ethan's army tonight, they could be convinced to support us. And there are rogues out there who aren't like the ones who attacked Lucy. Good wolves who've been exiled unfairly, who'd jump at the chance to be part of a real pack again. We'll build something new," Lucy said, the vision crystallizing in her mind. "Not just a pack or a kingdom. A coalition. A place where bloodlines and prophecies don't matter as much as character and loyalty." She looked at Jareth. "Your father built this kingdom through strength and fear. We'll rebuild it through love and trust." "It'll take years," Jareth warned. "Decades, maybe. And there will be setbacks. Battles. Losses." "I know," Lucy said. She placed Kieran back in his bassinet beside his sisters, then took Jareth's hands. "But we have time. And we have each other. That's more than either of us had yesterday." Jareth pulled her close, his forehead resting against hers. "I love you, Lucy Thorne. I loved you the moment I saw you bleeding in that forest, fighting to protect lives you hadn't even met yet. And I'll love you until the stars go dark." "I love you too," Lucy whispered. "My impossible king. My unexpected mate. Yours," Jareth finished. "Just yours." They kissed, soft and sweet and full of promise. Around them, their chosen family tactfully looked away, giving them this moment of peace before the storms to come. Outside, dawn was breaking over Shadowmere. The fortress had survived another night, another battle, and in a chamber filled with silver moonlight and the soft breathing of newborns, a new chapter was beginning. Not the ending Lucy had expected when she'd fled into the Roguelands 3 days ago, but perhaps, just perhaps, the beginning she'd always needed. 3 weeks had passed since Kimberly's sacrifice. 3 weeks of relative peace in Shadowmere, but peace that felt like the calm before a hurricane. Lucy could feel it in the air, the tension, the waiting, the sense that something was building just beyond the horizon. The babies were thriving. Elena, the eldest by 3 minutes, had already shown signs of dominant alpha energy. Her cries were the loudest, her grip the strongest, and she seemed determined to be held first at every feeding. Zara, the middle child, was quieter but intensely observant, her golden eyes tracking every movement in the room with unsettling focus for a 3-week-old. And Kieran, small, precious Kieran, had a habit of calming his sisters with just his presence, as if he could sense their distress before they even cried. Lucy sat in the nursery now, nursing Kieran while watching his sisters sleep in their ornate cradles. The moonstone amulet hung around her neck, warm against her skin, occasionally pulsing with what she'd come to recognize as Kimberly's presence checking in. "You should be sleeping," Jareth said softly from the doorway. He was fully recovered now, stronger than ever thanks to Kimberly's sacrifice. But he still watched Lucy with that protective intensity, as if afraid she might disappear if he looked away. "I'll sleep when they sleep," Lucy said, though they both knew that was a lie. She barely slept anymore. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw Ethan's face. Kara's smile. The army that had retreated but not disbanded. Jareth crossed the room and settled beside her, his arm wrapping around her shoulders. Zara's scouts report movement in Silver Pine territory. Ethan's rebuilding his forces. And he's not alone. Lucy's heart sank. Who's helping him? Elder Marcus and 2 other council members who fled after Kimberly's attack. They're claiming I've been bewitched, that you're using dark magic to control me, and that the children are abominations that need to be destroyed before they fulfill the prophecy. Of course they are, Lucy said bitterly. She looked down at Kieran, who'd fallen asleep at her breast, milk-drunk and peaceful. They can't accept that the prophecy might be about unity instead of destruction. That these babies might actually save everyone. There's more, Jareth said carefully. Kara's been seen traveling between packs, spreading rumors. She's claiming that the babies aren't mine, that you somehow stole my genetic material through dark magic to create false heirs. Lucy's laugh was sharp. That's rich coming from a woman who used compulsion spells on her own alpha. The problem is, some packs are listening, Jareth continued. Fear is a powerful motivator, Lucy. And right now, the other alphas are terrified of what our children represent. Change. The end of the old power structures. A world where ancient bloodlines might not matter as much as merit. So, what do? Lucy asked. We can't hide in this fortress forever. Eventually, they'll come in force, an alliance big enough that even your warriors can't stop them. We don't hide, Jareth said, his eyes blazing with determination. We go on the offensive. We gather our own allies, expose Kara's lies, and prove to the other packs that our children aren't threats, they're hope. How? Jareth stood, moving to the window that overlooked his kingdom. The summit of alphas is in 2 weeks. Every alpha from every major pack will be there, including Ethan. It's neutral territory, no fighting allowed within the summit grounds. Ancient law. Lucy's blood ran cold. You want to bring the babies to a summit full of alphas who want them dead? I want to bring our family to a summit where we can tell the truth, Jareth corrected. Where we can show everyone that these children are just that, children. Not weapons, not abominations. Just 3 innocent babies who deserve to live. They'll never agree to that, Lucy said. The moment we walk through those gates. The The moment we walk through those gates, every pack will see the Alpha King claiming his heirs publicly, Jareth interrupted. They'll see a mated pair, bonded and strong. They'll see you, Lucy, a mother willing to walk into the lion's den to protect her children. That kind of courage can't be faked, and it can't be ignored. It's too dangerous, Lucy protested, but even as she said it, she knew he was right. They couldn't hide forever. Eventually, they'd have to face their enemies. Better to do it on their terms. We'll have protection, Jareth assured her. Zara and my elite guard. And I've already sent word to Alpha Marcus of Ironwood. He's agreed to support us publicly at the summit. Others will follow once they see we're not afraid. And if they don't? Lucy asked quietly. If we walk in there and they vote to have the children destroyed? Jareth's expression turned deadly. Then I'll burn the summit to the ground and we'll go to war. But I don't think it'll come to that. I think once they see you, once they hear the truth about what happened with Ethan and Kara, once they understand that the prophecy is being deliberately misinterpreted to serve someone's agenda, they'll listen. Someone's agenda, Lucy repeated. You think there's more to this than just Ethan wanting revenge? I know there is, Jareth said. Kara's not smart enough to orchestrate all of this alone. The compulsion magic, the false evidence, the coordinated attacks from multiple packs, someone's pulling strings behind the scenes. Someone who benefits from keeping the packs divided and afraid. Before Lucy could respond, the door burst open. Zara stood there, her face grim. My king, my queen, we have a problem. Ethan's not waiting for the summit. He's challenging you to single combat. Tonight. Under the full moon. Lucy's heart stopped. Single combat? It's an ancient rite, Jareth explained, his jaw tight. One alpha challenges another for territory, mates, or honor. If I refuse, I'm seen as weak, and every pack will question my right to protect you and the children. But if you accept, Lucy couldn't finish. She'd seen Jareth fight, knew he was powerful. But Ethan was desperate, and desperate wolves were dangerous. If I accept, I end this tonight, Jareth said firmly. I kill Ethan, prove beyond doubt that you're my mate and our children are legitimate, and remove the biggest threat to our family in one stroke. Or he kills you, Lucy said, her voice breaking. Jareth, you just recovered from nearly dying. You're strong, but you're not invincible. What if? He won't, Jareth interrupted, cupping her face gently. Because I have something Ethan doesn't, something worth fighting for. Not pride or revenge, but love. Family. A future. He kissed her forehead. I won't lose. I can't. Our children need their father. Where? Lucy asked, knowing she couldn't stop him. Knowing he was right, this challenge had to be answered. The Hollow, Zara said. Neutral ground between our territories. Ethan's army will be there as witnesses, and he's demanding you bring yours. It's a show of force as much as a challenge. Then we'll give him a show he won't forget, Jareth said. He looked at Lucy. I need you to stay here with the children. Keep them safe while... Absolutely not, Lucy interrupted. If you're going to risk your life for this family, I'm going to be there. The babies will be protected, Margaret and half your guard can stay with them. But I'm not hiding while my mate fights for our honor. Jareth looked like he wanted to argue, but something in Lucy's expression stopped him. You're sure? I'm sure, Lucy said. She stood, handing Kieran to Margaret, who'd appeared silently in the doorway. Besides, I have the Moonstone amulet. If something goes wrong, I might be able to. Don't, Jareth said sharply. Don't even think about using blood magic, Lucy. The cost is too high. The cost of losing you is higher, Lucy said simply. They stared at each other, a whole conversation happening in silence. Finally, Jareth nodded. Then we go together, he said. As we face everything together. The Hollow lived up to its name. It was a massive circular clearing in the forest, surrounded by ancient trees that seemed to lean inward, creating a natural amphitheater. The full moon hung directly overhead, bathing everything in silver light. And filling the clearing were wolves, hundreds of them, from dozens of different packs. Lucy stood at Jareth's side, Zara and 20 elite guards forming a protective circle around them. Across the clearing, Ethan waited with his own forces, fewer than before, but still formidable. Kara stood beside him, wearing Luna's regalia that should have been Lucy's, her expression smug. But it was the figure standing behind Ethan that made Lucy's blood run cold. An old woman, bent with age but radiating power. Her eyes were milky white blind, but somehow Lucy felt them boring into her soul. She wore robes covered in strange symbols, and when she moved, shadows moved with her. "Who is that?" Lucy whispered to Jareth. His expression was grim. "The seer. I thought she was dead. She disappeared decades ago. If Ethan's convinced her to support him." "She's a fraud," Zara hissed. "No one's seen her perform real magic in 50 years. She's probably just another one of Kara's tricks." But Lucy wasn't so sure. Something about the old woman felt ancient. Dangerous. Wrong. A neutral alpha, Marcus from Ironwood, stepped into the center of the clearing. He was a massive man with gray-streaked hair and scars that spoke of countless battles. "We're gathered under the full moon to witness a challenge," Marcus announced, his voice carrying to every corner of the clearing. "Ethan Carver of Silverpine challenges Jareth, Alpha King of the Northern Territory, for the right to claim Lucy Thorne and dispose of the children she bears." Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Lucy felt rage building in her chest at the casual way Marcus spoke of disposing of her babies, but Jareth's hand on her arm kept her grounded. "The challenge is accepted," Jareth called out. "But let's be clear about what we're really fighting for. This isn't about territory or mates. This is about truth. About exposing the lies that led to Lucy's exile and the conspiracy to murder innocent children." "The only lie here is yours," Ethan snarled, stepping forward. "You claim those bastards are yours, but everyone knows it's impossible. You've been locked in your fortress for 6 years. You never met Lucy before 3 weeks ago. So either you're lying, or she used dark magic to steal your seed, and either way, those abominations need to die." "They're not abominations," Lucy shouted, unable to stay silent any longer. "They're children. 3 innocent babies who've done nothing wrong except be born into a world that fears what it doesn't understand. They're the prophecy made flesh," the seer said, her rasping voice somehow audible to everyone. 3 children born of impossible union, carrying power that will reshape everything. The old ways will die when they come of age. The ancient bloodlines will mean nothing. Chaos will reign. Or, Jareth countered, a new era will begin. One where packs aren't divided by old grudges and ancient feuds. One where strength comes from unity instead of domination. That's what you're really afraid of, isn't it? Not my children, but what they represent. Change. The seer's milky eyes fixed on Jareth. "You dare speak to me of change, Boy King? I who have seen the rise and fall of 100 alphas. I who watched the Great Division tear the packs apart." She moved forward, her shadows writhing. "I know what those children will become. I've seen it in visions written in blood and screaming. They will be the end of everything we've built." "Then your visions are wrong," Lucy said, stepping forward despite Zara's protest. "Or they're being interpreted wrong. My children aren't destroyers, they're bridges. Between old and new. Between tradition and progress. Between." Silence. The seer's power lashed out, a wave of dark energy that sent Lucy stumbling backward. Jareth caught her, his eyes blazing with fury. "You dare attack my mate?" His power exploded outward, meeting the seer's darkness with blazing light. "Ancient law says no magic during challenges. You've just forfeited Ethan's right to fight." "I forfeited nothing," the seer said. "I'm not Ethan's second, I'm his advisor. And I advise all of you watching to remember what happens when prophecies are ignored. The last time we let fate run its course unchecked, the Great Division happened. Thousands died. Do you want that again?" Marcus raised his hand for silence. "Enough. The challenge stands, magic or no magic. Ethan has the right to face you, Jareth." But he looked at the seer with obvious distaste. "You will be silent during the combat, seer. Or I'll have you removed." The old woman's smile was chilling. "As you wish, Alpha Marcus. But mark my words, before this night ends, blood will be spilled. And not all of it will be from the combatants." Lucy felt the moonstone amulet pulse against her chest, a warning. Kimberly's presence was agitated, trying to communicate something. "Trap," Lucy heard faintly. "This is a trap. The seer, she's not what she seems. Lucy, you need to." But the warning cut off as Ethan and Jareth moved to the center of the clearing. "Final terms," Marcus said. "This combat is to the death or submission. The winner claims all disputed rights, Lucy Thorne, the children, and the title of rightful protector. No interference from either side. Is this understood?" "Understood," Ethan said. "Understood," Jareth echoed. "Then begin." They shifted simultaneously, Ethan into his sand-colored wolf, large and aggressive, and Jareth into his massive black form that dwarfed every other wolf present. They circled each other, and Lucy's heart hammered in her chest. Ethan lunged first, going for Jareth's throat. But Jareth was faster, sidestepping and raking his claws down Ethan's flank. Blood sprayed across the silver grass. The crowd roared. The fight was brutal. Ethan fought with desperate fury, all teeth and claws and reckless attacks. Jareth fought with calculated precision, each move designed to wear his opponent down without taking unnecessary risks. But something was wrong. Lucy watched as Jareth landed a devastating blow that should have ended the fight, his jaws closing around Ethan's leg, snapping bone. Ethan screamed, shifted back to human form, clutching his mangled leg. "Submit," Jareth growled, also shifting back. "It's over, Ethan. You've lost." Ethan looked up at him, and Lucy saw something flicker in his eyes. Not defeat. Not pain. Triumph. "Actually," Ethan said, his smile bloodied but genuine, "I've won." That's when Lucy noticed it, the seer moving her hands in subtle patterns, her lips moving in silent incantation. And around the clearing, shadows were rising. Not from the trees or the darkness, but from the watching wolves themselves. "No," Lucy breathed, understanding hitting her like a physical blow. "She's a necromancer. Like Kimberly. She's going to." The shadows struck. They poured from the bodies of Ethan's wolves, not killing them, but controlling them. Dozens of warriors suddenly turned on their own packmates, their eyes going blank, their movements jerky and wrong. "Treachery," Marcus roared. "This violates ancient law." "Ancient law is dead," the seer said, her voice amplified by dark magic. "Along with the old world. Tonight, the prophecy dies with it, starting with the children." She raised her hands, and Lucy felt the spell lance out toward Shadowmere. Toward the nursery where Elena, Zara, and Kieran slept. "No!" Lucy's scream tore from her throat. Without thinking, she grabbed the moonstone amulet and channeled everything she had into it. Silver light exploded from the artifact, racing toward Shadowmere faster than thought, faster than magic. The seer's dark spell hit Lucy's light shield, and the two magics collided with a sound like reality breaking. Lucy felt herself being pulled somewhere else. Her body stayed in the hollow, but her consciousness, her soul, was suddenly in the nursery, watching through the amulet's power as the seer's shadows reached for her babies. "No," Kimberly's voice echoed in her mind. "Not them. Never them." The amulet flared brighter, and Lucy felt her mother's presence join Kimberly's. Then others, women she'd never met but recognized instinctively. Her grandmother. Her great-grandmother. Every woman in her bloodline who'd ever worn the moonstone amulet, all of them channeling their power through Lucy. The shadows disintegrated before they could touch the babies. But the effort cost her. Lucy felt her consciousness snapping back to her body in the hollow, felt herself collapsing, felt darkness creeping in. Strong arms caught her. Jareth, bleeding from a dozen wounds but alive, cradling her against his chest. "I've got you," he murmured. "Always." Around them, chaos had erupted. The controlled wolves were fighting themselves, trying to break free of the seer's magic. Marcus and his Ironwood warriors had turned on Ethan's forces. And the seer. The seer was laughing. "Foolish girl," she said, approaching Lucy and Jareth. "You've just burned through all your power to save 3 children who are doomed anyway. Without the amulet's magic to protect you, you're defenseless. And now..." She raised her hand, dark energy coalescing into a blade aimed at Lucy's heart. Jareth roared, trying to shift, trying to protect her. But he was too slow, still weakened from his fight with Ethan. The blade descended. And stopped. Ethan stood between them, the dark blade piercing his chest instead of Lucy's. Blood poured from his mouth as he looked at the seer with something like betrayal. You said no one would die," he gasped. "You said we'd just scare them into..." "I lied," the seer said coldly, pulling the blade free. Ethan collapsed, his life draining onto the silver grass. But his sacrifice had given Jareth time. He shifted fully, his massive form slamming into the seer with the force of a landslide. They went down in a tangle of fur and shadows, and the clearing erupted into full battle. Lucy tried to stand, tried to help, but her body wouldn't cooperate. She'd given too much power to the amulet. Without it, she was just human. Weak. Dying. Through blurring vision, she saw Jareth fighting the seer. Saw Kara trying to flee, only to be stopped by Zara's blade. Saw wolves from a dozen different packs turning against Ethan's corrupted forces, choosing to defend the truth over comfortable lies. She saw hope. And then she saw nothing at all as darkness finally claimed her. Lucy woke to the sound of babies crying. Not just any babies, her babies. She'd recognize those voices anywhere. Elena's imperious wail demanding attention, Zara's sharp cry of displeasure, Kieran's softer whimper joining his sisters. She opened her eyes. She was back in Shadowmere, in her chambers, bathed in morning sunlight. Margaret sat beside the bed, looking exhausted but relieved. "Welcome back, my queen," the healer said softly. "You've been asleep for 2 days." "The seer," Lucy croaked, her throat raw. "The battle is over," Jareth said, entering from the adjoining room with Kieran in his arms. The sight made Lucy's heart swell, her powerful king, cradling their tiny son with such gentleness. "The seer is dead. Her magic died with her, and the wolves she controlled are freed." "And Ethan?" Jareth's expression grew solemn. "He died saving your life." In his final moments, he broke free of whatever hold the seer had on him, some compulsion spell Kara had been dosing him with for months. He remembered the truth. Remembered loving you. And he chose to save you instead of letting his bitterness destroy him. Lucy felt tears prick her eyes. Not for the man who'd rejected her, but for the one he'd been before Kara corrupted him. And Kara. "In the dungeons," Zara said, entering with Elena and little Zara. Awaiting trial for conspiracy, use of forbidden magic, and attempted murder of royal heirs. The other packs are demanding she be executed. "What do you want to do?" Jareth asked Lucy carefully. "She orchestrated your exile, tried to kill our children, nearly destroyed everything. By ancient law, you have the right to decide her fate." Lucy looked at her 3 children, perfect, innocent, oblivious to how close they'd come to death. Then she looked at Jareth, at the future they were building together. "Exile her," Lucy said finally. "Strip her of rank and name, and send her to the Rogue Lands. Let her live with the choice she made, but don't make her a martyr for others to rally behind." Jareth nodded slowly. "Mercy. That's not what most would choose." "I'm not most people," Lucy said. "I'm a mother who knows what it's like to be cast out and hunted. I won't inflict that death sentence on anyone, even her. But I won't have her anywhere near my children ever again either." "The other packs won't like it," Zara warned. "Then they'll have to get used to disappointment," Lucy said firmly. "Because our family is going to do things differently from now on. Starting with mercy and second chances." Margaret helped Lucy sit up, and soon she was surrounded by her babies, nursing Elena while Margaret held Zara and Jareth cradled Kieran. For a moment, everything was perfect. Then Jareth said quietly, "There's something else you should know. The summit, even with the Seer's attack, even with the chaos, something extraordinary happened." "What?" 13 alphas publicly pledged their support, Jareth said, his voice filled with wonder. Ironwood, Riverside, Northridge, and 10 others. They saw you risk everything to protect your children. They saw me fight for my mate. They saw the truth that had been buried under lies. And they chose to stand with us. Lucy's breath caught. 13 packs. It's a start, Zara said. The beginning of that coalition you talked about. Packs united not by fear or ancient treaties, but by shared values. It's revolutionary. It's dangerous, Lucy countered. The packs who didn't pledge, they'll see this as a threat. They'll adapt or become irrelevant, Jareth interrupted. Lucy, the world is changing whether they like it or not. Our children are proof of that. We can either guide that change or let it sweep us away. I choose to guide it. Lucy looked at her family, this impossible, beautiful family she'd somehow found in the darkest moment of her life. She thought of Kimberly's sacrifice, of Ethan's redemption, of all the people who'd chosen to believe in something better. Then let's guide it together, Lucy said. All of us. Build something worthy of them. She looked down at Elena, who'd fallen asleep at her breast. Something they can be proud of. Jareth leaned in, kissing her softly. Together, he agreed. Always together. And as morning light filled the chamber, as their 3 impossible children slept peacefully in their parents' arms, Lucy felt something she hadn't felt since before Ethan's rejection. Hope. Not just for herself or her children, but for all of them. For every wolf who'd ever been cast out, every pack that had been divided by ancient feuds, every future that had seemed impossible until someone chose to believe otherwise. The prophecy had spoken of 3 children who would either unite the packs or destroy them. Lucy chose to believe it would be the former. And with Jareth at her side and their coalition of allies growing stronger every day, she'd make damn sure it came true. 6 months had passed since the battle at the Hollow. 6 months of transformation, both personal and political. Lucy stood on the balcony of Shadowmere, watching the sun set over a kingdom that had changed beyond recognition. The fortress that had once been Jareth's prison was now a thriving center of diplomacy, where alphas from allied packs came to settle disputes, forge treaties, and witness the future being built in real time. And that future was currently crawling across the nursery floor behind her. "Mama!" Elena's imperious voice called out. At 6 months old, she was already trying to form words, already demanding attention with the force of an alpha twice her age. Lucy turned to see her eldest daughter pulling herself up on the edge of a cushion, those golden eyes blazing with determination. "I see you, baby," Lucy said, scooping Elena into her arms. "You're going to be walking before your brother and sister, aren't you?" Elena gurgled what sounded suspiciously like agreement. Zara, little Zara, was content to observe from her spot near the window, her tiny hands reaching for the sunbeams streaming through the glass. And Kieran, sweet Kieran, was nestled against Margaret's chest, already asleep despite the early hour. "They're growing so fast," Margaret said softly, rocking Kieran with practiced ease. "Soon you won't be able to keep up with them." "Soon they'll be keeping up with me," Lucy corrected with a smile. She'd regained her strength in the months since giving birth, trained with Zara's warriors, learned to harness the Moonstone Amulet's power without burning herself out. She was stronger now than she'd ever been, not just physically, but in every way that mattered. Jareth entered, fresh from a council meeting, and the sight of him still made Lucy's heart skip. He'd let his hair grow longer, and the shadows that had haunted his eyes for years were finally gone. He looked younger, happier, whole. "The Riverside Pack just pledged their support," he announced, moving to kiss Lucy's temple. "That makes 17 allied packs. We're building something real, Lucy. Something that'll last. 18, Lucy corrected. I got word this morning Silverpine wants to join the coalition. Jareth's eyebrows rose. Ethan's old pack? They elected a new alpha. A female named Diana who's spent the last 6 months rooting out corruption and rebuilding their reputation. Lucy shifted Elena to her hip. She said they want to honor Ethan's final act, saving my life instead of taking it. They want to be part of the change he died trying to stop, then died trying to protect. Jareth was quiet for a moment, processing. Then he nodded slowly. Redemption. Even for a pack that exiled you. That's who we are now, Lucy finished. We give second chances. We build bridges instead of burning them. That's what our children will inherit, not just a kingdom, but a philosophy. A soft cooing drew their attention to little Zara, who was now trying to crawl toward her sister. Elena reached out, and their tiny hands clasped together, both babies giggling at the contact. They're already forming bonds, Margaret observed. Natural pack instincts, even at this age. Good, Jareth said. They'll need each other. The prophecy might be about them, but they don't have to face it alone. Lucy thought about the prophecy often, those words about 3 children who would unite the packs or destroy them. 6 months ago, it had felt like a curse. Now it felt like a mission statement. I've been thinking, Lucy said carefully, about what comes next. We have allies now, infrastructure, a coalition that's actually working. But what happens when the children grow up? When they're old enough to understand what's expected of them? We let them choose, Jareth said simply. We raise them with love and wisdom and the freedom to become whoever they want to be. Alpha, Omega, warrior, healer, it doesn't matter. What matters is that they're happy and true to themselves. And if they don't want to unite the packs? Lucy pressed. If they want normal lives, away from politics and prophecies? Jareth cupped her face gently. Then we protect that choice. The prophecy said they'd change everything, it never specified how. Maybe the change is just showing the world that royal heirs can be loved for who they are, not what they represent. Lucy leaned into his touch, feeling tears prick her eyes. I love you. I love that you understand. I love you too, Jareth murmured. You taught me that. How to love without fear, how to hope without reservation, how to build instead of hiding. He glanced at their children. They're going to change the world, Lucy. But not because some ancient prophecy demands it, because we're raising them to be kind, brave, and compassionate. That's the real magic. A knock at the door interrupted them. Zara entered, her expression unusually soft. My queen, my king, there's someone here to see you. She says she's family. Lucy's heart stopped. Family? But I don't have. An elderly woman stepped into view, her face lined with age, but her green eyes bright and achingly familiar. She wore simple traveling clothes, and her dark hair was streaked with silver, but Lucy would have recognized her anywhere. Mama? Lucy's voice broke on the word. But you died. I watched you. You watched me fake my death to protect you, Elena, her mother Elena, said quietly. And I've spent the last 20 years in hiding, building alliances, preparing for the day when you'd need me. She looked at Jareth, recognition flickering in her eyes. Hello, my king. Or should I say, hello, my husband. The room went silent. Jareth stared at the woman, confusion and recognition warring on his face. Elena. My Elena. But how? Blood magic, the older Elena said. The same kind Kimberly used, but different. I didn't die 6 years ago. I was transported forward in time, to the moment when my daughter would need me most. To now. She moved closer, her eyes filling with tears as she looked at baby Elena. You named her after me. Both of them, Lucy whispered. You and Jareth's first mate, I thought. We're the same person, her mother confirmed. I was Jareth's mate first. We were young, in love, building a kingdom together. But I saw the future, saw that our bloodlines needed to combine in a specific way to fulfill the prophecy. So I faked my death, went back in time, became Lucy's mother, and set everything in motion. Lucy's mind reeled. That's impossible. Time travel. With the Moonstone amulet, nothing is impossible, her mother said. She pulled out an identical amulet from beneath her shirt. There are two. Always have been. One to go forward, one to go back. I've been living in a loop, Lucy, loving Jareth, dying, loving you, preparing you for this moment. This is insane, Lucy said, but pieces were clicking together. The way her mother had always known things she shouldn't. The familiar way Jareth had looked at Lucy from the first moment. The impossible connection between them. They'd loved each other before, in another timeline, another life. And fate, or the amulet, had brought them back together. I don't expect you to understand, her mother said. And I'm not here to stay. My timeline, my younger self, she's waiting in the past. I just needed to see you. To see them. She looked at the triplets, wonder transforming her features. 3 impossible miracles. Everything I sacrificed was worth it. Jareth moved to stand beside Lucy, his hand finding hers. You could have told us. Prepared us. Would you have believed me? The older Elena asked gently. Would you have trusted the plan if you'd known it meant heartbreak and separation and nearly dying? She shook her head. Some things have to unfold naturally. Some loves have to be tested before they're strong enough to last. Lucy looked at Jareth, at their children, at the life they'd built from ashes and prophecy and impossible choices. Her mother was right. If she'd known, she might have tried to avoid the pain. And in doing so, she'd have avoided this perfect, messy, beautiful outcome. Thank you, Lucy said finally, for everything you sacrificed, everything you endured. You gave us a chance at something real. Her mother smiled, tears streaming down her weathered face. That's all any mother wants for her child. A chance at real love, real happiness, real life. She touched the amulet at her throat. I have to go back now. But Lucy, you're going to be an incredible queen. And these babies? She gestured to the triplets. They're going to heal wounds that have festered for centuries. Not through war or power, but through love. Mama, Lucy started, but her mother was already fading, the amulet glowing bright silver. I love you, daughter. I always have. In every timeline, in every life, in every possible future, you are my greatest achievement. Then she was gone. Lucy sagged against Jareth, overwhelmed by revelation and loss and love all tangled together. He held her close, his own tears dampening her hair. We're going to be okay, he murmured. All of us. Your mother, both versions of her, made sure of that. Our mother, Lucy corrected. She loved you too. In 2 lifetimes, she chose you. And I choose you, Jareth said. In this lifetime and every one after. You and our 3 treasures. That's my prophecy. That's my future. Elena chose that moment to yawn hugely, reminding them that despite cosmic revelations and time-traveling mothers, babies still needed normal things like naps and food and love. Lucy laughed through her tears, the sound bright and genuine. Come on. Let's put them down for their nap. Then maybe we can try to process the fact that my mother is your dead mate and apparently time travel is real. Or, Jareth suggested, we could just accept that we're living in a world where impossible things happen every day. Where true mates find each other across lifetimes. Where 3 babies born from tragedy become symbols of hope. He kissed her softly. Where a rejected Omega becomes a powerful queen. I like that version, Lucy admitted. They put the children down together, working in perfect synchronization, the result of 6 months of practice and partnership. Elena fought sleep until the very end. Zara observed everything with those knowing eyes, and Kieran simply snuggled deeper into his blankets. Perfect. Impossible. Theirs. Lucy stood beside Jareth, watching their children sleep, and felt complete peace for the first time in her life. The prophecy would unfold however it was meant to. The coalition would continue growing. Challenges would arise, they always did. But right now, in this moment, Lucy had everything that mattered. A mate who loved her unconditionally. 3 children who carried hope in their very existence. A kingdom that was learning to choose love over fear. and the knowledge that even when things seemed darkest, even when rejection and exile and death threatened to destroy everything, fate had a way of bringing the right souls together at exactly the right time. Lucy leaned against Jareth, his arms wrapping around her from behind, both of them watching their sleeping treasures. "Thank you," she whispered. "For what?" "For being at that forest when I needed you most. For fighting for us. For giving me a second chance at everything." Jareth turned her in his arms, his golden eyes blazing with love so fierce it took her breath away. "You gave me the second chance, Lucy. You walked into my life and reminded me what it meant to be alive. What it meant to love without reservation. What it meant to hope." They kissed, soft and sweet and full of promise. Outside, the sun finished setting, painting Shadowmere in shades of gold and pink. A new day would come tomorrow, bringing new challenges and triumphs. But tonight was perfect. And Lucy, who'd once thought her life ended the moment she was rejected, now knew it had only just begun. Hey, beautiful souls. We've reached the end of Lucy and Jareth's incredible journey. What did you think? Drop a comment below telling me your favorite moment. Was it Kimberly's redemption? The battle at the Hollow? Or maybe that twist about Lucy's mother? I need to know. And if you love this story, smash that subscribe button so you don't miss our next emotional adventure. Trust me, you're going to want to be here for what's coming next. Until then, remember, even in your darkest moments, your greatest chapter might be just beginning. Love you all.